Hello, everybody. We are live on the webinar with Vonage and Convertigo with Warren Walter. So we're going to just stay 1 minute or two, just waiting for some people to connect. Well, it's already connecting a lot, so that's good news. Okay, perfect. So speak to you in a few minutes. While we wait, for current attendees, you can, of course, use the chat session where you can, just chat with everybody there. So don't hesitate to use this, of course. And then, well, chat is just for interaction. Now, at the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A session. So in this way, you will be able to make your questions there. Okay, but of course, you can use the chat just now if you want. Okay, we are now 2 minutes after the start of the webinar. So let's go. Let's start and let's see if our people just join us, and they will, of course, very welcome. Welcome to the Convertigo and Vonage webinar about low-code and multi-channel communication application integration. This webinar was prepared by Lawrence, who is on stage now, and myself. And we have as a special guest star, Sébastien Bouvier, also guest star. He's there.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so let's go on the next slide. So we have some little bios there. Okay, so I'm Olivier. I'm the founder of Convertigo. I'm the CEO of Convertigo. Just to let you know, I'm in the IT business, since a long time now, and very much focused on digitalization and everything, and of course, low code and no code, because this is a key problem we want to solve in enterprises. So we'll see how it works. I'm very much fond of every innovation and everything we can find, and also I am a private pilot. I love flying planes, so that's exactly what I do. Please go on, Lawrence.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Bird. I'm part of the communications APIs team here at Vonage. Vonage is a global company, but I'm sitting here in California today, and we provide communication solutions that help accelerate, your ability to connect. And we're particularly going to be talking about APIs today. Look forward to that.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. So I'm Warren Walter's head of design and user experience. Long story short, what we do basically at Warren Walter is we work with our clients to make their digital transition a success by designing, coding, managing their projects. So if you'd like to know more about what we do, I can share with you in the chat panel the website and my LinkedIn profile. So, well, the website is in French, but thanks Chrome and Firefox, we can now translate any web page. So feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to discuss with you about your project.
Great, and I think I'm going to get started and want to welcome everybody here. And we want to talk about what is this combination of APIs, low code, why is it important? Why should these things come together? And what does it all mean? And we do this in a context of what has been, I'm sure you all agree, an extraordinary year. And it's not just that we saw dramatic growth, that we saw all sorts of communications, whether it was WhatsApp social communications, whether it was, many more notifications, whether we sat on video like we are in fact doing right now. What we did was we learned. Organizations learn how these digital channels work and how they don't work. and so did consumers. This is the second wave for consumers. For consumers, the first wave was the smartphone, where everything was in the palm of their hand, and they could video call with their grandparents from the palm of their hand from anywhere in the world, and they could send chat messages to anybody anywhere in the world. And they would ask, well, why doesn't your business do that? And now they've had an experience of a year where the best businesses stepped up and enabled them to have digital lives.
Absolutely.
And so they have dramatically more expectations. They know what works and doesn't work. They know the applications and the industries, the telehealth industries that succeeded, the education industries that were pretty challenging as to how you train kids at home, the financial industries where, did my interface with my banks or my insurance companies improve? What am I looking for now? So we're now building on a plateau of new digital transformation. And the question is, where are we going? And I want to say that what we see is organizations expanding into new use cases. Vonage is an API company with building blocks that go inside applications. So we see thousands and thousands of applications, billions of messages or video minutes around the world. And that gives us a pulse of what we see. So transformation has happened. And, the joke is, who was it in your C-suite who drove the digital transformation of the last year? Was it your CEO, CIO, CTO? And of course, the joke is, it was COVID. What that means is external circumstances caused us to have to dramatically accelerate our digital transformation. At the same time, we see the emergence of smaller companies. While you may be using the language of digital transformation, there are plenty of companies out there, whether they're the fintechs, the insurtechs, the health techs, the edutechs, or whatever they call themselves, who are not out for transformation, they are out for digital disruption. Their goal, and we spent a lot of time with those companies, Uber is a customer of ours, as is the smallest, 3 people in a garage startup trying to build their application, and all kinds of applications in between. Their hope is to take apart business processes, reimagine them through software, and disrupt your business. So we see these worlds coming together. Some of them emerge very strongly. We're seeing fintechs and health techs become kind of platforms for the future, while larger organizations are looking at, how do we respond that rapidly? How do we optimize what we're doing? How do we react to these market changes? So these forces of transformation and disruption are, in some sense, two sides of the same coin. And I'm going to look in my remarks here, particularly at sort of financial and insurance. And it was interesting to me, this is a US quote, but this is a global bank, JP Morgan Chase, who are literally saying, and this is the 6th largest bank in the world, the largest bank in the US, our competition is coming from these new guys. It's coming from the fintechs. It's coming from the big tech companies. As a result, banks are playing an increasingly smaller role in the financial system. So here we have the chairman and CEO of this major bank saying, the fintechs are coming, And what that means is that he exactly sees this tension between new emerging companies looking to take parts of business and established industries trying to move as fast as they can to maintain their customer relationships. And this is, in fact, what Mark Andreessen, the founder of Netscape and now a venture capitalist, said literally a decade ago. And you'll have heard the phrase, software is eating the world. But the other thing he said in that same article was, it's eating value chains. It's eating value chains of industries that were widely viewed as existing primarily in the physical world. So, taxis are in the physical world and Uber impacts them. Other institutions and financial institutions are in the physical world, but fintech is impacting them. So what's the answer? And I want to suggest that we lead here, and we'll talk about this as we move forward, with customer experience. Every analyst, every firm, whether it's Forrester, whether it's Gartner, whether it's Bain, tell us that customer experience is the new differentiator. How you make the experience work with your customers is what makes the difference. More so than price, more so than particular product features. I'm willing to give up a little on those, if my overall end-to-end experience is better. And that's been your experience in e-commerce. You shop at the places that work. And even if you can get a slightly better deal somewhere else, you think, well, I don't want them to have my financial information. I don't know if I can trust delivery. I shop where the customer experience works. This is a report that we did where we looked around at how are people using different communication channels. We'll provide this report to you after the webinar, and it's sitting on our website. And some of the insights are the obvious ones. Customers want to do business where they are. If I'm in an app on a smartphone, I want to do business there. If I'm walking into your physical office, I want to do business there, but maybe I've set the appointment up in the app beforehand. If I use WhatsApp or I like text messages, I want to be able to interact there. If I have video on my device, I want to be able to use video. If I have a phone number, I want to be able to connect through phone, but maybe the application is orchestrating that. And we see changes in behavior, particularly around social apps and around video and around other channels. And secondly, I want value out of those moments. I don't have time to be struggling. I don't have time for it to be difficult. I expect it to be integrated when I work with your business. And for heaven's sake, make it seamless across these experiences. I absolutely do not want to be repeating myself. I don't want to keep saying to people, well, I just told you. And whatever moment of interaction I'm having now doesn't seem to know anything that I've ever done before. That's horrible. And in fact, is the biggest frustration we could identify on our global survey. So take a look at that. So what does that mean? It means that we're trying to put together end-to-end seamless experiences. They're essentially journeys. Our customers are on a journey, and we have to work out how to fit bits of those journey together. Increasingly today, the journey, starts with an app or a web page. I go somewhere, I get information. That's the start of the journey. If I'm downloading an app, then you're suddenly in a whole sort of verification moment. Who are you? There's a lot of fraud going on. There's a lot of spam going on, more so now than a year ago. So security and identity and verification become very key. I want to schedule things, and maybe I'm calling your contact center, but you can't afford to have people doing simple things. So there's AI involved, there's bots involved, and then I notify you to keep you in the loop. Maybe there's some kind of preparation. I'm going to come in and see you, but we're going to talk first. Some of the features that are important these days is the idea of privacy. So, for example, when you call your Uber driver, nobody can see each other's phone numbers. That's a sort of private phone number because it's being orchestrated by the cloud. And then finally, we have a meeting, like we are here, like we might with my doctor, like I might with my insurance broker, like I might with my financial advisor, and it may be video. The notion of hybrid journeys is as we go forward, we're not going to give up on all of these digital opportunities. I'm not going to drive, for 50 minutes to meet you when I can do it with video, and that's how I've been doing it for the past year, so it works very well. I am going to drive and see you when I physically need to be in there with you. So hybrid journeys are going to be a mixture of physical and digital, backwards and forwards, depending on, my needs, the particular moment of interaction. And so you're going to have to not just deliver one way of doing things, you're always going to have to deliver it in two ways. What's the digital experience? What's the physical experience? And how do they fit together? Right? I mean, these days, as we come out of COVID, many places, I need appointments to get things or do things. And I do that on my app. And when I arrive, it actually tells, without me even touching the phone, that I've arrived and I'm now ready to have my appointment. This kind of experience isn't going to go away just because COVID goes away or declines. I then may have all sorts of follow-up where I'm back on the phone, I'm back getting notifications, I'm getting WhatsApp messages and text messages, and I may then take part in a webinar like we are here, where I'm now in an environment. And what's going to be interesting in the year ahead is the world of hybrid events, where I physically go to the event, but you can't afford to diss all your virtual people who can't afford to fly to the event. You've now got two audiences. You've got your hybrid audiences. And then I'm doing customer service. I have a contact center. I want to automate the contact center. Integration with devices, depending on your industry, right? Obviously the smartphone, but increasingly IoT devices, wearables. And then education for customers is becoming increasingly important, whether that's static content or whether it's webinars and events, or whether it's snippets of video. So these are hybrid customer journeys that we all now expect, and they're mediated by software. And your application has to be more than just a pretty face. It has to implement a process. How does that process fit together? And what we see across industries, and here's a pattern, is that there's a focus now on expanding the process. So if we look at insurance as just one example, but this is a pattern across industries, then during the pandemic, customer service, making sure I was talking to you, making sure that claims processes still worked was a focus. But as we now move forward, people are focused on, okay, I've learned from that and the customer experience expectations have changed. How do I now make sure that I'm using speech better? How do I make sure that my mobile apps are richer? What's the role of bots? How much can I transact in WhatsApp using a chatbot? How do I use the WhatsApp channel, the Facebook channel, the Viber channel, the SMS channel, which isn't obviously as rich as WhatsApp? How do I then make decisions about where you go and what you do? What's the role of video customer service in the industry? And how do I use video across the back end process, which we have customers doing, to automate claims steps, seeing damage, seeing what's happening? How do I optimize processes? And then as we move forward, leading organizations are saying, well, I need to get back to how do I personalize those customer experiences? How do I make them proactive? How do I enhance them with AI? How do I enhance my back-end processes, my claims processes, whatever it is? So this is a pattern that we see across industries of expanding use cases in a world of integrated customer journeys and integrated customer journeys that are hybrid journeys. And what Vonage does is we provide you the building blocks. The building blocks are the APIs that make each moment of communication happen, whether it's a phone moment, a voice moment, a text moment, a WhatsApp moment, a video moment. And we provide that obviously with the support, with the developer tools, and so forth. The question is, if you've got to compose these into journeys, how's that going to happen? And with that, I would like to hand over to my friend Olivier. And your challenge, Olivier, is to explain to us, if I have all these moments of communication, how do I glue them together? And how do I glue them together easily and quickly?
Well, thank you, Lawrence. That's the good thing. That having APIs is already a big challenge. And making everything. Now you have to glue them, and usually to glue them, you need developers. You need IT developers. People that know, I think, about TT, about programming, about writing some code and everything. Now, this is a problem, and what we see here is that this is some data coming from the Gartner. Gartner is one of the multiple type of advisory firms, and they make studies and they get figures from enterprises. But they just say something that if you see the population in enterprises, enterprise IT developers are very few of them, not so much of them. Okay, you can find. Probably you can find more business pro developers in your company, probably a little more. But power users, people just knowing exactly their business, they know exactly what they have to do. Probably manipulating complex things like spreadsheets or type of office automation tools. That's already complex. Well, they do master this, so we call these power users. And in enterprise, you can have many of them. You can have many of these power users, and of course, you can even have what we call citizen developers, people that not IT guys. So that's why we call them citizen. Type of non-military guys. Of course, you may have a lot of these guys or women in the company there. Just imagine if you could leverage all these guys and all these persons to build the apps. Well, the problem of these guys, they're not developers. So how can they use the APIs? This is the problem. This is the problem we have to solve. Well, to solve this problem there is where low code and no code comes in. Coding is a very complex business. What if people could build their apps directly by drag and dropping blocks and build this directly? And this is exactly what is the promise of no code and low code there, okay? So usually we know that pro developers will code, and we call this pro code. and some citizen developers will use, of course, no-code type of information here. In this demo and this presentation, we will focus more on no-code. So something where people don't code at all. They can build type of apps just by drag and dropping applications. So if we go on the next slide here, again, some data coming from this Gartner Institute here, saying that they make type of inquiries, okay, in large enterprises and asked, tell me, what type of application do you need usually in enterprises? And what comes first is form-based application for data collection. This is what people need more. Collecting data about inquiries or have an insurance claim, for example. This is forms. Many of the applications are form-based, okay? And what if people could just write this application, create this application without coding? Okay, this is, of course, very interesting there. So if we focus on the form-based, of course, we already solve 58% of the application needs in enterprises. Okay, so another question that was asked by this Gartner Institute here was, did you know, are you already aware about this no coding and the stuff in here? So, of course, we have 4% never heard about this. Okay, that's okay. We can understand this, of course. 16% did hear, but did nothing about. Okay, just don't do anything there. 9% are already evaluating this type of technologies. That is not a lot. 9% of enterprises. That's a small amount. Okay, but the biggest amount is 55%. About nearly half of the enterprises are still using APIs with standard coding. Okay, so this is the problem because they're slow in making the apps. We need to accelerate digitalization. We need to make this fast. We need an application to get up quickly. Usually, how this works, when you make an application, you have to design, then you have to go to specifications, then you have to go blah, 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 and everything there. And when your application comes up and on the market or for your users, well, you don't need it anymore. Something happens very frequently in large enterprises, okay? So we absolutely have to solve this 55% problem there. And that's where no code comes in, of course. Good news, good news. 60% of enterprise already are using some no-code stuff, of course. Okay, good. Well, a lot of people have to do some more work. That's where we are going to work on there. So we spoke about no-code there. The problem about no-code is sometimes people are already doing some no-code stuff in enterprise. Probably you know all this spreadsheets with Excel formulas and some VBA code inside and everything. You have power users that do master this type of tools. What is the problem of these tools? They are called shadow IT. They are not manageable by the IT department of the company. So you don't know what happens there for security. If guy goes off the company, he takes his spreadsheet with him, and you just lose some valuable data and processes in your company. This is something we don't want. That's why we have to convert this shadow IT, bad, into citizen IT, good. This is good, the way to do this. So this is exactly where no code comes in too, okay? And something we have to say that CIOs don't have to ignore the citizen development, because this is the value of the company, of course. This is coming back from the company. If we go to another slide here, no code came in 2017 first. The term appears in 2017. This is coming from Google search, Google trend searches there, okay? And why this coming? Because usually you have 100% cloud-based installation for doing no code. So IT doesn't have to install anything in an enterprise, just have a browser, you can just write and create no code here. Well, it's sufficient, quick, goes very quickly there. But in some enterprises, it's very important to also have on-premises type of installation. You hear about where the data is stored, okay? some European companies don't like that data to be stored on the US soil sometimes, okay? Especially for, sensible type of information, okay? So it's important so in time that you can save the data in your own companies. Some no-code tools on the market are able to do this. Of course, some are not. So if you are more a large enterprise and if you are very, if you care about your data, then you should choose a platform that can be hosted on premises. And Lawrence was speaking about the COVID, okay? And he's right. This is a curve we got from Google Trends. And this is the COVID crisis, okay? Started on November 2020, we have got, and we'll look at the no-code coming up. Of course, we say there is a correlation. We cannot prove it, of course, okay? But I found this really interesting to see this curve coming up at the lockout. You know, when we had the lockdown here in Europe, there it started in this start. So this is what we see here. Now, a question about no-code technology in enterprises. You have several types of technology, a lot of no-code tools. We think today on the planet, we identified about 250 vendors making some no-code tools there. So this is a lot. The question is this no-code tool suitable for your enterprise there? And again, there's no-code tools for startups, okay? For, that can make the MVP and, just go and do some first business there. This is one type of no-code tools. But there are no other no-code tools that are more suitable for enterprises. We, Convertigo, are more in this space here about people making no-code tools for large enterprises, because large enterprises have different needs. One of them is to have integration. So these low-code tools has to be integrated into the backend systems there, and to have integration with, APIs. We were speaking about this with, for example, communication APIs. Okay, and this is exactly what we want to do there. So this is a type of flow you can find to choose a no-code tool. So there you go. There, if you need professional developers. If you don't need professional developers, then of course you're going to the no-code box here. Now, if you need professional developers, then you will maybe switching to what we call a low-code application platform here, LCAP, low-code application platform. This is not no-code. You still have to code here, but this is for professionals. You just accelerate the application creation, and of course this is important. And if you need what we call multi-experience, that means if you won't need an application that will work on several devices, smartphones, desktops, web browser, whatsoever, you may probably be interested in MXDP for multi-experience development platforms. Okay, well, good news here. One product can handle all this: no-code, low-code application platform, and multi-experience development platform in only one and unique platform you can use in the enterprise. And this is, of course, Convertigo, okay? We do have a complete stack doing this. And what we do is integrate APIs, and you'll see how we will integrate the communication APIs for video conferencing in a directly in a use case of insurance, of course. That's what we're going to show here. Okay, so next part is, we were speaking about customer experience here. And the point is UX, okay, that's user experience. User experience is very important, of course. Customer experience is user experience too. So the question I may ask you, Sebastien, is what are users expecting from application usually in type of customer experience?
You mean in terms of end user?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think, well, basically, end user are expecting, how could I say, a well-conceived application. So an application that's, in regards of their needs, is well done and friendly, user-friendly. So my point of view is, what it is interesting in no-code application or no-code tool platforms is for a non-technical person, let's say, it offers the guarantee of what you see is what you get. So there's no surprise at the end of the day. If you know nothing about UX design, okay, using this kind of platforms, it normally offers you the guarantee that it is based on well-conceived and user-centric elements from guidelines, design systems, libraries, and so on. So you should get a user-friendly product, as I say. And so the only thing I think you need to worry is to optimize the experience, paying attention to details like colors, contrast, backgrounds, and all the customizable elements that offers Convertigo and
some of our local platform. But can we think that a local platform will a little bit guide the application maker, you know, because they're not in no code, especially not in low code. Okay, low code is a different story. Low code is a different story. But when we say no code, the platform will guide the developer. He will not be able to do anything he wants. You know, the form will have a look and feel that the low code did decide. Of course, he will be able to personalize, to customize a little bit colors. But if the product is already, let's say, user friendly, then he will automatically get a user friendly product. Well, sometimes it could be this way. But customer can still make some horrible designs. They can still make some mistakes. What type of mistakes they can do, for example?
Okay, you mean person in charge of the developments with the no-code platform? What kind of mistakes they can? Well, I think they have to pay attention, as I said, to the details. So contrast, background. In fact, all the elements that it is that are customizable. So I think if you have a screen and you put a flashy background or something like that, it's probably not the best thing to do or the best way to build an app. So it is, the only elements that you have to care of. That's my point of view, because everything else is already based, already designed a certain way. So you cannot customize those kind of elements. So
in some countries, I know this is the case in Europe, it might be the case in USA too, there's special regulations about accessibility to type of digital, you know, especially for disabled persons, okay, for non-seeing persons or whatsoever. How it is called as it's I think a rule here in Europe there. So you have to be aware of this too, when you make some customer experience sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, accessibility, so digital accessibility is based on the WCAG, so WCAG, so international rule. Here in France, we have RG2A, so RG to RGAA.
RG2A,
so,
that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but normally when you're using a no-code platform, it should, well, the only thing as a user you have to take care of is the contrast. For example, the contrast. You don't use light colored typography with a light colored background or something like that. But everything else, so accessibility, digital accessibility, is 90% of that is coding. Is a coding matter. So if the platform is well done, normally you shouldn't get any problem.
So if the platform is already RG2A compliant, then your application will be RG2A compliant. That's what you say. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're taking care of the details as typography, contrast, backgrounds, and so on.
And okay, that's important. So usually for this is what we use for user experience. Okay, so this is one of the interaction we would like to with Sébastien. Now let's go to some real stuff now. So let's see how we can make a no-code part, no-code stuff here. So let's go here. This is a big use case using NoCode and Vonage, and this has been built it's not exactly the customer one, because it's not always easy to ask customers to display their own logos and everything there behind, of course. So we took the application and we changed logos and we changed something there. It was a type of virtual company, okay? But the business case that is real, it is behind, is a real business case there. This is insurance claim business case, okay? So let me show you how this works. So if you go to here, then will be I will scan a QR code on my machine here. So let's go to there and let me scan a QR code with my mobile device here. So I'm using my mobile device, and this is a live demo, and let me scan the QR code here. So you see the application coming on the top here. Yeah. Okay, and we will just make a type of identification. I am Olivier, and I'm just connecting to my application here. So this is an insurance claim on a company called Burton and Son. So we have here the form there, and I would like to make a claim with the fire damage here. Okay, so here I just click my fire damage, and I have the next button here. Okay. Okay, so here it is. So this is the date where I have to do this. So let's say I have this fire damage today, of course, and I have to show what's the damage is. So let's pretend my apartment door did burn. Okay, so I have to make a photograph of my apartment door. So I just click the application there, camera, and I will make, yeah, this is my apartment door. Let's make a photograph. Okay, here it is. Okay. Now, so I will write what apartment door burn. Okay, what is the scale? This is the damage there we have here. This was collateral damage here. Wow, this is a problem. I don't know if I have to say this or no. Yes, because this was my apartment, but it did burn the door of the global my apartment, and also something on let's say building there. So I don't know what to answer here. So I need some help from my insurance advisor. Okay, so let's call my insurance advisor here. I have a nice button here on the top here. I don't know, see if you see it here. And this button, I would just call it. Okay, let's call. Okay. Oh, hello. This is Olivier. I'm just filling up the form here, and I just don't know if I have to say that I have a burn damage here and my door just burned. Should I say it's a collateral or not? What do you think there?
Not. It's just you just have to write a fire damage and describe in a few words the damage. It's just that.
Okay.
Like my door is burned.
Okay, this is very simple. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. I'll just do my claim now. Bye-bye. Okay, I just do my claim here. So I say no, and I say just no, this is fire damage here. Fire damage, okay? Okay. Okay, so this is my application, and I go next. Of course, I have everything is clear. I can sign my application, and then I submit my form, and this is the application claim I can do. Now, the good thing about this application, it has been built with no coding at all. Anybody can build this, okay? So this is what we're going to show here, how you can build this type of application here. So you just have to build it this way. So we can create a new application like this one, okay? I will just write some data here. So hello, this is hello, and then this is demo app. Okay, I finished this section, and I will just drag and drop fields here. This one, this one, this one. I will just drag and drop fields here. Oh, I need a type of dates, field. You remember we were using this one. Remember the camera? We can drop this, and we need communication. We need to interact. We need to interact with my type of advisor here. So I will drag the video call and just put it here. That's all. That's down. Okay. Let's put like a nice image as a background in my application? Like for example, this one. Okay, save. Well, let's see if what this does. So if I make preview, and now we'll see my application, and this application will look this way. Well, that's done. I made my application in a few clicks. Of course, this is a very simple one. Okay, I did not do the Burton and Son application, but this shows that you can do the application very quickly. And when we have the video here, the button is here. This will leverage automatically the Vonage APIs, okay, for making video interaction directly, dynamically behind this, okay. Did I code something? No. Was I a professional developer doing this? Absolutely not. Can you do it yourself? I think everybody can do this type of application with no coding there. This is the power of no code. And of course, you can understand how you make thousands and thousands of digital applications in your enterprises with this type of products, okay? So just as a very small demo to show how this works, and I hope this was quite informative for you, okay? So now we may have some questions about APIs for the moment with Lawrence, and then about no code with me, and then we're going to wrap up about this type of application there behind, okay?
To ask your questions, please type them into the questions window. The one question we did get was, is this recorded and shared? To which I said, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
You will be getting this to share with your colleagues. And as we wait for questions, I have two questions for you, Olivier.
Yeah.
The first question was, I was most disappointed that you edited your demo script and took out the bit where you set your room on fire to create realism. So I missed the flames, but maybe your fire.
Yeah. So I wanted to have a lighter to show the flames here. This is what was planned, but the lighter doesn't work anymore. When you make demos, always something works.
Okay, so
the lighter did not work. Okay, but I was not intending to burn a bird.
but then a more serious question. You showed a moment of interaction that was very easily built in under a minute by just dragging and dropping the right components. Obviously, we've talked about in this webinar the importance of how do these moments get connected together. Can you talk a little bit about how the framework allows the data to end up in good places, whether it's your CRM or wherever it is, so that you actually glue these moments together?
Yeah, sure. Of course, when you will, for example, submit your form here, you will have probably actions there that will be triggered when the submission is done. So if you go to this and you drag and drop a trigger here, then you may select actions that are done when the application is done. So for example, just as a just sample, you may notify automatically somebody like an email here, or fill out a PDF document like this one. These are standard actions that we do provide with a no-code platform, of course. Now, what's interesting in enterprises, you need much more than that, okay? In enterprises, you need probably to make some other actions, like to go to your backend systems there. In this type of demo, for example, what's just written in French here there, because I was in, this is a French one, sorry about this. This one was, if you are, for example, building an application to make some field maintenance, then you would like to solve an issue on an equipment there, okay? So this is exactly what you're going to do. Behind this, there will be a flow of action that will go and call diverse APIs. For example, they could call your Vonage WhatsApp API or SMS API that is behind, okay? And this is how you connect UI and user experience with backend type of applications there. I hope this is important. Yeah.
I think that's very important. There's three elements going on here. Obviously, there's the moment of experience and how the customer experience works, whereas Sebastian said they're relying on your framework to do that. There's the communication elements that you need APIs for, which Vonage provides. And then there's the back end and where does the data go, which your platform facilitates putting things in the right place after each interaction.
Yeah, that's it.
Great. Please ask your questions. We don't see any questions yet. Please don't be shy. Please put questions in the questions.
This is interactive. This is the goal, of course. Yeah.
Or we will see them in the chat. I'm going to ask Sebastian a question. What have you seen over the past year in terms of the mix of the importance of sort of mobile applications, which we all have sort of on our phones, and easy use of the web and web browser experiences? I mean, how has that mix kind of changed as more and more people have had to come online? And I have a comment, but let me ask for your comment first.
Not sure to get your question right.
So let me give my comment first. Something we've seen is the absolute importance of good browser-based experiences, because as you reach a wider audience of people who've not tried these things before, haven't worked out how to download an app, then it's really got to work in the browser. You've got to be able to do video in the browser. You've got to be able to do voice in the browser. You got, everything's got to work with no plugin,
installation, of course,
complication. And that's something that we put a lot of effort into in our APIs, and particularly our video APIs. On the other hand, the app experience is becoming very important once you get into a particular company, right? So I now have an app for my grocery store on my phone that I never had before, and they better not do a bad job, right? They better make that a good experience. Just because they're a grocery store doesn't mean that they can skip the experience. Otherwise, essentially their entire brand just got tainted by the bad app experience. So we've seen those two changes: the absolute importance of getting web right, and the absolute importance of getting your mobile apps right if you provide them.
Yeah, the user experience, a good user experience is the base, whatever you're developing, an app or a web page. It doesn't matter. You have to get a good user experience, but you can have both. You can have both of them. So an app, an application, and a website depends on not necessarily the same. It's not necessarily the same usage. So I've seen a lot of these days. I've seen a lot of good websites with really with powerful tools or powerful way of interact with the page, with the web page, and I've seen as well application with very complex complex but user-centered application. So yeah, a good thing that in my point of view, no-code platforms are a good way to understand and to create good application in that way that you can use that as a base, as a minimum viable product.
Like for MVPs, Mm-hmm.
Yes, for example, I do a lot of design sprints, and when I run design sprints, the idea, so for those of you who don't know anything about design sprint, is so a Google method to create in 5 days a prototype and to get it tested. So in that kind of method, the no-code platform could be an ally to rapidly create something to get a product, be tested, and validate and iterate and create a user-centered application.
Sebastian, I think something very important for user experience is also getting rid of network type of lags. When you have, especially mobility in mobile, when you have a 4G network that's a little bit weak there, and then you have long time of interaction there. This is very important to be able to interact locally on the device without hitting the server each time. Okay, so you get a good performance there, and this is where offline data comes in sometimes. Okay, you can have a better user response if you're just interacting locally. Okay, and this is important. For example, we know that our customers are very happy about this because they use the offline mode of Convertigo local platforms, of course. Yeah, because
I think Sebastian made an absolutely essential point for our audience here, right? Which is the modern developer, right? We're software developers here at Vonage, and I'm in Silicon Valley. Everybody around me is a software developer. Uses the notion of agile development with small incremental steps with what are called sprints that you get done in a week or 2 weeks, where every cycle you're looking at it and saying, is this what I want? We do not use huge specs that we then build to. You build quickly, you get it in front of people, you learn, you iterate rapidly, you fail out the stuff that doesn't work. Agile development is what all of those disruptors are using to disrupt your business. They're moving very fast. They're not using classical software development approaches. They're using modern agile approaches. So your question is, how do I get into agile? And in fact, we saw Olivier doing agile development. He did his MVP in 1 minute. And maybe for his next iteration, he'll spend 5 minutes. But the low-code, no-code environment is a tool for adopting agile processes of getting something that works in front of people and then perfecting it incrementally based on the feedback. And I'm saying if you're not into that style of development, then the barbarians at the gate, the small tech companies are going to come swarming in, and they're moving very fast.
This is exactly the first slide you showed here. The people of big banks are sometimes afraid of fintechs and all this type of.
Right. So, can you talk a little about how low code, no code in your environment sort of facilitates an agile development style of thinking?
This is first question, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the fastest you get a prototype, the fastest you fit the customers and the market needs. So and the less you spend time and money. So, and I'm sure as we speak money and time, it's getting very interesting for a lot of you right now. So yeah, the goal is to save money and time, and running a sprint is, as a designer, it's essential for me, because and I'm talking more like I'm talking about agile, but as well design sprints, as I said before, as I could get a direct feedback from the user, from the end user, so I can iterate, I can improve the prototype. So that kind of iteration, so agile, design sprints, design thinking, all that method, it's very powerful for me, and it gives the data that I need to improve.
So if an organization works with you, Sebastian, and they give you a version in 3 to 6 months and it's awful, then they're essentially failed. They will not succeed at that point, right? They need to give you these sprints very quickly, where you're able to give feedback to them, right?
Yes, absolutely. If you want to evolve and to how could I say, to change the product or the prototype or the MVP very quickly, we need to get the feedback from the market, from the user. So I cannot wait 6 months until it's done. Then
that's what I was saying. Sometimes the product gets out and you don't even use it anymore.
Absolutely. That's the point. Yeah.
Sometimes.
And what I was saying when I talked was, consumer expectations are now very extreme. We've spent a year playing with our apps and our user experiences, interfacing with all sorts of businesses, and consumers know, this organization just doesn't get it. It's horrible. It's awful. I don't like them. This organization, that really worked. That's smooth. I like that. They're much more discerning users of interfaces and experiences than they've ever been.
Yeah, because they use applications every day. They use WhatsApp, they use Facebook, they use Instagram. So they're used to user experience already. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right. The grocery truck that was delivering my groceries during the pandemic, I could see where it was on the street. So if I can't do that or something equivalent to that in your business, then what kind of business are you? And particularly if you're a financial business, right? I don't want to say this, but I will, right? I don't like my bank. My bank, my particular bank, does not deliver a very good experience. The digital tools are not very good, and I'm working hard to try and move away from them. And the only reason I tell them that I stay is so that I can get onto webinars and talks and make the point that I hate my bank, right? So that's not good, right? It's about my expectations now as a consumer. And I'd like to make another point with respect to Sebastien and the importance of design. And this is another Silicon Valley best practice. We don't just have software developers. We have designers, people with a design and artistic background who are equal members of our product teams. And you go together with these people. So if you don't have a Sebastien sitting across from you on the table, then you need to make sure you get one somehow.
Technology is just technology.
Yes.
You need something there. Yeah.
So that the hand in glove of development and design of the whole experience, right? What happens next, not just the interface, is very key. So think about having designers on your staff. Think about employing design firms who can help you get this right, because you are being compared in the digital world. Your business is being compared with the best of the best, right? Because I go and use Netflix in the evening. I order something on Amazon, and then I come to your app. And if those two apps can do things that your app can't do, I know, I can see it, I can feel it. So you're not being compared against just people in your industry. You're being compared against every possible best application and customer experience out there, because that's what consumers use. They flip around between all these things, and if that app can do it, why can't yours?
Absolutely. Everything is based on design.
Do you agree that design is important, Sebastien, by any chance?
I think I agree. Yeah.
We haven't heard questions from you. Please type in.
There's still time. We have still some minutes there. So we're waiting for your questions.
We're waiting for you, but we hope you've enjoyed us having fun here.
Okay, so people, probably they don't not speaking and don't want to write some English. You can write it in French. We're going to translate if in any way it happens anytime. Please do. Yeah.
Any language.
You can even write it in Italian. I will translate too. You can even write Swahili, but I don't know if people are speaking Swahili here.
So any language accepted. Olivia will just drag a translation widget onto the screen, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, some language I will need definitely. Okay.
So I think, Olivier, we might want to make some concluding remarks, right? I mean, the concluding remarks here from Vonage are: communications is important, right? The experiences you're building for your customers are lots of moments of experience with moments of AI and moments of information being presented to the user. You're under a lot of competitive pressure now as we come out of the pandemic, as the fintechs or the xtechs or whatever it is in your industry are on the attack. And maybe you're one of those, in which case you're using APIs and you're using those as weapons to attack the market. And your fundamental question is, how rapidly and quickly can I get this new generation of experiences built? And with that, how do you want to conclude, Olivia?
Well, we could want to conclude that agility and speed to delivery application is a key to successful businesses there. Don't forget things that you may end up with MVPs. Okay, now the problem is MVPs, you want to get industrialized MVPs, and this is where platforms differs. You may have some special, let's say, end user type of platforms, okay, not professional, not enterprise type of platforms that will give you MVPs that you will not be able to scale and you will not be able to integrate in your complex information technology in your company.
And let me just explain what you said, Olivier. MVP is a minimum viable product. That's the agile term for get something up fast.
Yeah.
Olivia is making the point is if you get something up fast with a bunch of code, it barely works. If you get something up fast with a low code, no code, it's professional, it works, and you can build on it. So
if the platform can be integrated in IT, that's one of the big question. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we'll run up out of time here. So we just stopped at just in time. Is that good? Well, this time we're not late. Perfect. Good news. Okay, so the replay will be sent there will be just sent there. You'll get some feedback with this. Please don't hesitate to give some feedbacks on there's a form there where you're going to get some feedback. And hope we see you in the webinar next time with one of our partners. And thank you very much for attending. Okay, goodbye.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.